Welcome in. Today we're diving headfirst into generative AI.
Yeah, generative AI. It's
We're talking more than just the basics today, though.
definitely not the basics.
Get ready for some aha moments as we uncover why this tech is a big deal, where it's headed, and what you really need to know.
And we're not just skimming the surface here.
Oh, no.
We've got excerpts from a dense academic journal article. Yeah, the International Journal of Intelligent Systems to guide us. It's packed with fascinating insights about this rapidly evolving field.
It's like we've got a treasure map leading us to AI gold.
That's one way to put it.
So let's get right to it. What exactly is generative AI?
Right. It's a term we hear everywhere these days.
Right.
But what's the big idea?
Yeah, what's the big idea?
Think of it this way. Imagine machines becoming creators.
Okay.
Not just analyzing data, but actually generating new things based on what they've learned. Images, text, music, even scientific discoveries.
Okay, now that's what I call next level stuff.
Right.
It's giving me some serious computers writing symphonies and painting masterpieces vibes.
And here's the kicker. It's not as far off as you might think. Remember back in 2014 when those crazy realistic yet totally fake videos started popping up online? That was our first glimpse into the power of generative AI.
Those deepfakes, right?
Exactly.
Were both fascinating and a little unnerving at the same time.
Yeah. That was a major sign that generative AI was about to change the game. And those deepfakes were directly tied to a groundbreaking development that same year. Generative adversarial networks, or GANs for short.
GANs, yes. I've heard the term, but I'll admit, the details are a little fuzzy for me.
Yeah, so imagine two AI systems locked in a constant duel.
Okay.
One part, the generator, tries to create something realistic, like an image. The other part, the discriminator, acts like a detective trying to spot the fake.
So it's like they're always trying to outsmart each other.
Precisely, and this constant back and forth. That's what pushes the AI to become incredibly good at generating realistic content.
This concept of dueling AIs is actually core to many generative AI approaches, not just deepfakes.
Wow, that's a seriously clever way to make AI learn. But this isn't just about creating fun videos for fake news, right? Where else is generative AI showing up?
It's everywhere.
Really?
Yeah, it's already deeply embedded in our lives, often in ways we don't even realize. Take computer vision, for example, those facial recognition systems we hear so much about. Generative AI plays a key role in how they're developed.
Really? How so?
It all comes down to training data.
Okay.
Generative AI can create countless realistic images of faces, which are then used to train those facial recognition algorithms. It's like giving the AI an endless photo album to study.
Okay, that's both incredibly cool and a little creepy at the same time.
Yeah.
What about other fields? What else can generative AI do?
Oh, the possibilities are pretty much endless.
Yeah.
Let's take healthcare, for instance. Imagine being able to generate realistic medical images for research and training purposes.
But without needing actual patient data. That's the kind of game-changing potential we're talking about.
That's amazing. It seems like there's no limit to what generative AI could be used for.
And here's where it gets even cooler.
Okay, yeah.
It's not just about practical applications. Generative AI is also making waves in the creative world.
Really?
Yeah. Remember hearing about Google Research's Magenta project?
That rings a bell. Didn't they do something with AI and music?
Yes. They use deep learning to compose original pieces of music. That's generative AI in action, bringing a whole new meaning to the term algorithmic composition.
Wow, my mind is officially blown. This is so much bigger than I realized. But I have to ask, how does it actually work?
Yeah, right.
What's going on under the hood of these generative AI models? It's like AI is learning to speak the language of creativity. But how does it actually master these complex skills? Spill the technical tea.
It's all about the different types of generative models that make this magic happen. Remember those dueling AIs we talked about? The GANs.
Yeah, the ones constantly trying to outsmart each other.
Right. Those are behind some of the most realistic image generation we've seen so far. Think those mind-blowing AI-generated portraits popping up online. Many of them are thanks to GANs.
So they've basically learned how to create art that tricks even the human eye.
Exactly. But GANs aren't the only game in town. There are other fascinating approaches like VAEs, or variational autoencoders.
VAEs. Okay, now I know that sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah, it sounds like something you'd need a PhD to understand, but it's actually simpler than it sounds.
Okay, good.
Think of VAEs like artists learning to paint, Imagine them analyzing a massive collection of paintings, thousands upon thousands of them, and then using that knowledge to create something entirely new.
So instead of just copying, they're learning the essence of what makes a painting a painting. The style, the brushstrokes, the composition, and then using that to create something original.
Precisely. It's like if you fed a VAE a bunch of Van Gogh paintings. It might create something that looks like a Van Gogh, but isn't an exact copy of any existing work.
That's incredible. It's like they're not just copying, they're actually understanding and interpreting the art in their own way.
Exactly. And then we have another major player in the generative AI world, Transformers.
Wait, like the robots in disguise? Are you talking Optimus Prime almost?
Not quite robots in disguise, but they are transforming AI, especially when it comes to communication.
Okay, you've got an answer.
Think about GPT-3, that AI that's been making headlines for its ability to write like a human, that's built on Transformers. These models are incredible at understanding the nuances of language, the context, the relationships between words, the subtle meanings.
So they can write poems, articles, even code, all with a human-like touch.
Exactly. They're revolutionizing how we interact with language, and we're just scratching the surface of their potential. But here's the thing. This technology, as amazing as it is, comes with some big questions.
Okay, let's talk about the flip side. What are the potential downsides to all of this?
Well, remember those ultra-realistic deepfakes we talked about? That realism has a potential dark side. It can be used to spread misinformation, manipulate people, and make it harder than ever to know what's real and what's not.
That's a pretty unsettling thought.
Yeah.
It seems like this technology could easily be used for malicious purposes.
It's a real concern, and it's something researchers are working hard to address. They're developing better deepfake detection methods, but it's a constant cat-and-mouse game. As the technology evolves, so do the challenges.
It's like we're entering a whole new era of digital literacy, where we need to question like everything we see and hear online.
Exactly, and it's not just about deepfakes. There's also the question of how this technology might be used in other areas. Like, for example, to create incredibly high-resolution content in real time.
Okay.
Imagine videos, music, even entire virtual worlds generated instantly without any of the rendering time we're used to.
Wow. That sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
It's like the future is arriving faster than we can keep up.
It really is. And perhaps the biggest question of all is this. How do we bridge the gap between all this amazing research and the real world? How do we make this technology accessible and beneficial for everyone, not just a select few?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It seems that there's so much potential for good, but also the possibility of things going sideways if we're not careful.
Absolutely. It's a powerful tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. Ultimately, it's up to us to decide how we want to shape the future of generative AI.
So where do we go from here? What can we do to make sure we're using this technology responsibly and ethically?
Well, it starts with awareness. The more people understand about generative AI, its capabilities, and its potential impact, the better equipped we'll be to make informed decisions about its development and use.
So knowledge is power, as they say.
Exactly. And it's not just about understanding the technology itself, but also about considering the broader ethical and societal implications. What are the potential consequences of using this technology in different ways? Who benefits and who might be left behind? These are questions we need to be asking ourselves as we move forward.
It's a lot to think about, but it's clear that generative AI is here to stay, and it's only going to become more powerful and pervasive in the years to come.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this such an exciting and crucial time to be paying attention. The choices we make today will shape the future of this technology and its impact.
I have to say, this deep dive has been eye-opening. We've gone from the basics of generative AI all the way to the ethical dilemmas and the mind-blowing possibilities in the future.
And we've only just scratched the surface. This field is constantly evolving, with new breakthroughs and challenges emerging all the time.
So what's the takeaway for our listeners? What do you want them to walk away with today?
I think the most important thing is to stay curious. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep exploring the potential of this incredible technology. The future of generative AI is ultimately in our hands.
Well said. That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of generative AI. Until next time.